US Senate has advanced a tough new Russia sanctions bill that could also hit America's own allies. The proposed legislation threatens 100% tariffs on countries still importing Russian energy. India now finds itself directly in Washington's crosshairs over its growing purchases of Russian crude. The sanctions push comes as Volodymyr Zelensky visits Washington seeking stronger American support. The US Senate has advanced a sanctions bill that could impose 100% tariffs on key Russian trading partners. The proposed legislation targets countries including India, China, Slovakia, Hungary, and Azerbaijan over Russian energy imports. The bill was authored by late Senator Lindsey, who passed away on July 11th. The Senate approved the measure by an 86-12 vote as President Zelensky met lawmakers in Washington. The legislation is designed to increase economic pressure on Moscow over the war in Ukraine. India remains the world's second-largest importer of Russian crude oil after China. India's dependence on Russian oil increased sharply after the Strait of Hormuz crisis disrupted Gulf energy supplies. The US-Iran conflict pushed Indian refiners to rely more heavily on Russian crude to meet domestic demand. Washington had previously relaxed some restrictions to help stabilize global energy markets. India's imports of Russian crude surged by 34% in June 2026, reaching record levels. Those purchases were valued at approximately €4.5 billion during the June buying surge. The imports accounted for roughly 36% of Russia's total crude export revenues. The proposed sanctions could place additional strain on growing US-India trade relations. Both countries are still negotiating a bilateral trade agreement expected to lower US tariffs on Indian goods. If passed into law, the bill could force India to reconsider its Russian energy strategy. The proposal represents Washington's latest effort to squeeze Moscow's energy revenues worldwide. Meanwhile, Donald Trump described the late Senator Lindsey as a tough cookie during his funeral.
Today we gather in the deepest gratitude and profoundest sorrow to honor a beloved friend, a devoted brother, a respected statesman, a giant of the United States Senate, and a true American original who left us much too soon. And that can only be the one and only Lindsey Graham. By the strength of his steadfast convictions, the force of his magnetic personality, and the goodness of his noble soul, Lindsey rose from a small town in rural South Carolina, a place he loved so much, to become a constant fixture of American politics at the highest level, and a force to be reckoned with all over the world. For more than 30 years, nothing of consequence happened in this capital without Lindsey Graham knowing about it. Nothing of significance happened anywhere in the world without Lindsey Graham having a view on it. And no bill became law in the most exceptional republic in human history without Lindsey Graham having a say in it. He was a man who gave America the full measure of his good and mighty heart until that heart itself just gave out. But even though Lindsey's life was cut short while he was still so full of vim and vigor, there can be no doubt that he lived absolutely to the fullest. He died doing the work he was born to do. He was truly a great politician, serving the country he loved to serve so deeply. He went out at the peak of his career, the top of his game, as a legend that every one of us, many of us here today, are blessed to know him, and a friend that none of us will ever forget. There was truly nobody like Lindsey Graham. It was his hometown of central South Carolina that Lindsey first learned the art of politics. His parents ran a bar and pool hall on Main Street with a room in the back where the family spent and slept and did everything that you had to do. As Lindsey said, his father taught him the key to being a successful bar owner is that you have to be funny enough that people will keep coming back, and that you have to be tough enough that you can stay in business and thrive. A very difficult combination. For his entire storied career, that's exactly who Lindsey Graham was. He was the first person to make you laugh, and one of the last people that you've really ever wanted to fight. These were the traits that made him into one of the great figures in Senate history. Few like him. As a boy, Lindsey also learned his first lessons in diplomacy when the wife of one regular patron called the bar asking for her husband. She demanded to know, where is he? The man instructed Lindsey, tell her I'm not here. And young Lindsey nodded and said into the phone to the wife, he said to tell you that he's not here. That was Lindsey. When Lindsey was just 20 years old, he lost his mom to cancer. 15 months later, he lost his dad. Their deaths left his 13-year-old sister, Darlene, an orphan. But in God's mercy, she had her wonderful brother to take care of her. On top of it all, Lindsey became her guardian while still in college and helped raise her. He later said that for all his achievements, and he had many, his single proudest accomplishment in life was how well Darlene turned out. He had total respect and love for Darlene. Nothing could be more fitting than that woman who was Lindsey's proudest legacy now continues his legacy of service in the U.S. Senate, a place that he cherished. And I have no doubt that he's looking down today, beaming with pride at his sister, Senator Darlene Graham. Thank you, Senator. Lindsey first stormed into Washington with the Republican Revolution of 1994, becoming the first Republican to win his House district in 120 years. That was Lindsey. In 2002, he ran for the Senate in what should have been a loss, and he swept to an easy victory. Lindsey quickly became a master at maneuvering in one of the world's great legislative bodies. He secured record funding for our military as a budget committee chairman. He delivered the largest investment in border security in history, and last year he shepherded the passage of the largest tax cuts in American history, the great, big, beautiful bill. Had a lot of Lindsey goodies in there too, I can tell you. And of course, he was also a great champion of the United States Supreme Court. His impassioned defense of a wonderful person, a great gentleman, Justice Kavanaugh, ended a disgraceful attack on this very good man and gave us one of the greatest moments the Senate has ever seen. It was a truly monumental moment in Senate history. I believe it was Lindsey's perhaps finest hour. But no matter how heated things got in Washington, virtually everyone, Republican or Democrat, liked Lindsey. Well, not everybody, but it sounds good. Not everybody. He was a tough cookie, okay? I have to veer from this for a second. He was a tough cookie, Darlene, but he was beautiful.